Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Platinum with no new moves was a complicated run. Let's follow that up with something completely different. Today's the day that we figure out, would I be able to beat Skyrim with only conjured equipment? Just like in Oblivion, Skyrim has spells that let you temporarily conjure equipment. Unlike Oblivion though, there's a little bit more depth to it because of the perk system. If we want to get the most out of our bound equipment, we're actually going to have to level up. In fact, it's going to be enough that it raises the game difficulty. Plus, you can't summon armor in Skyrim, so we're just gonna have to go the whole run with no armor. Thanks for the ideas for the challenges that you guys leave in the comments, by the way. It really helps me figure out what challenges to play for the channel. Like always, I'm writing this script as I go through with the challenge, so this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I'm confident that I can do it, but I bet the Alderman fight is really gonna suck. Let's explain the rules. We're only allowed to use conjured equipment. That means we can only deal damage with conjured equipment. I'm not even going to allow fists this time, since I'm fairly sure that they can't dispel our equipment in this one. Mandatory shouts are allowed because they're mandatory, and lastly, we're not using any mods that affect gameplay. Also, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So let's start with character creation. I decided to go with a wood elf for the archery skill, because I figure that we're probably going to focus on being really good with a solid bound weapon like the bow. We'll have no armor anyway, so we may as well go for range damage. Helgen goes exactly as you'd expect. I just ran through it because we don't have any bound equipment spells yet. Let's fast forward to town when we can finally get one. First I checked the Riverwood Trader, but it doesn't look like they have any bound equipment spells. That's fine, we need to go to Whiterun soon anyway. After making and selling a few potions for money, we were able to buy the bound sword spell. It took up almost all of our magicka to cast, but it lasts for a full 2 minutes, so at least it's not as bad as in Oblivion. But first, let's see what this thing can do. So this is Fort Amal, a small optional dungeon in the middle of nowhere. It looks like it used to be run by Stormcloaks, but these rogue mages took it over. We're here partly to get a little bit of conjuration skill, and partly because there's a free bound bow spellbook in here. I ended up trying to clear the place out quite a few times, but even these low-level mages can quickly take us down with basic magic thanks to us having no armor. Eventually, I ended up just rushing for the spellbook itself, then running away. It wasn't that hard, but the spell is actually far too expensive for us to cast right now, so we'll have to stick with the sword for a little bit. After that, we go straight to Bleak Falls Barrow for the first story quest. This place ended up being a pretty easy area to train our conjuration and one-handed skill. See, unlike in Oblivion, where you could just cast a conjuration spell over and over for skill, now you actually have to do it with enemies nearby. Thankfully, not only does summoning our sword give us skill, but fighting with it does too. So conjuration shouldn't be too hard to level up. Maybe I should use the Warrior Stone for a while to help our one-handed skill catch up. At the end of the area, we have a sword fight with the boss of this place for his Dragon Stone, but it only took a couple of tries to win. You can cheap shot him lots early on when he's still coming out of the coffin. Now, the Jarl of Whiterun wants us to go deal with the dragon sighting, but knowing how fast we go down, I really want to get this bow spell to work. We're going to need to level up enough to either get enough magicka to cast it, or get to level 50 in conjuration skill so that we can get a perk to lower its casting cost. Because of that, I decided to climb the mountain early for the fast travel point to the Greybeards while fighting whatever I saw on my way up. This does mean that we level up a bunch though, and we'll have to fight harder enemies as a result. Considering they're getting stronger, but we still will have no armor, really has me worried about the scaling of this run. I ended up having to get all the way to level 8, but we finally got enough magicka for our bound bow spell to work. We had enough skill points for the first 2 damage upgrade perks in both one-handed weapons and in bows, plus the Mystic Bindings perk in conjuration, so our conjured equipment is a little bit stronger. We may be made of paper mache, but at least we hit decently hard with a bow. Right away, we go to the first dragon, and it was incredibly easy. Would you look at how much damage this bow is doing? I could probably take him out in 10 to 12 arrows on my own. Alright, so the Greybeards want us to go get the horn from the tomb, so it's time for us to test out this new bow on regular enemies. This place ended up being super easy, to the point that our bound bow actually one-shot a lot of the enemies here. We're still made of glass, so I don't exactly want to get up close and personal with everybody, especially not the necromancers, but being able to one-shot pretty much every regular enemy in this place is really satisfying. I could watch skeletons explode into bones forever. It's amazing. So, now that we have the horn, Delphine here wants us to go slay a dragon with her. If you're lucky, the dragon will focus on her and she'll do most of the work, but I'm not too worried. My friend Brandon, you know him as Goosit on YouTube, he does a lot of these Skyrim runs, so I'm going to teach you some tricks that I learned from him recently when we were doing a 2-people, 1-controller Skyrim run over on his channel. Linked in the description, of course. First trick, you can actually lead this dragon down to the nearby city, and the guards will do a pretty good job of fighting it, although it'll totally depopulate the city doing it. I'm gonna just try fighting with my bow on the hill first, though. Anyway, the dragon itself ended up being super easy. He went after Delphine early, and that kept him pretty much still, so I could just spam out arrows and take him down in under a minute. Alright, next up is the Thalmor Embassy. We don't really need to smuggle any weapons or armor in, but I did smuggle in our potions just in case we need them. We're gonna be in close quarters, so let's be safe. This place was actually pretty fun. We go down pretty fast if they start casting stuff on us, but 2 arrows will get any of these guys to give up. It takes a 3rd one to finish them off though, just by a little bit. It's especially tense whenever we're inside the building and have to duck and weave between cover in order to find an opening to land an arrow. If you let your guard down, they'll take you out fast. Overall, it wasn't too bad though, and we actually took down the frost troll in the cave on the way out. Normally we just run past this guy, but our bow is super strong, so I decided to give it a try. Next, we have to find Esbern in the Ratway. This place is full of Thalmor soldiers and mages, just like the embassy was, so we mostly just run past everybody. It's really easy to do, and they would easily overwhelm us in the narrow hallways if we stood and fought. Skyhaven Temple is easy as always. We just outrun a dragon on our way, slip in the entrance, do a few simple puzzles, all easy stuff. On our way to the Throat of the World, we actually almost went down a few times to Ice Wraiths. These guys normally aren't that bad, but having no armor all the way at level 9 really caused some problems. Still, we made it to the top. Alright, it's time for another trick that Brandon taught me. So normally, we have to go into the longest dungeon of the game right now. You have to go through some Dwemer ruins to get to Blackreach where the Elder Scroll is. What I didn't know is there's actually a bunch of entrances to Blackreach, and the one that the game points you towards is one of the longer ones. By going into this one near Windhelm called Rauld Bethar, we actually have a much shorter dungeon, as well as a less dangerous path through Blackreach to the Elder Scroll. He does a ton of these Skyrim runs, so he knows a lot of this stuff. Anyway, lots of stuff here can take us out pretty fast if we let them outnumber us. So most areas we either have to take very slow and methodically, or I need to just rush past everyone to survive. There's this one really cool part in the dungeon where we have to run around this giant room getting these bones out of gears that are jamming up a drawbridge, then we have to fight a giant steam-powered colossus on the other side. Thankfully, he mostly focused on the enemies around the room, though. Once we got to Blackreach itself, it was a simple walk over to the tower where we do an easy puzzle to get to the Elder Scroll. Alright, let's go fight Alduin. So this is a pretty rough fight, harder than I thought it would be. Alduin is normally not that hard to fight with a bow since you can just use Dragon Rend to keep him grounded, and it's pretty easy to just pop in and out of cover to shoot at him. Problem is, the place is raining fireballs, and if we want to clear out the skies, that means we have to stop with Dragon Rend for a little bit. I decided to just keep him pinned down and to keep raining down damage while chugging health potions. If we had armor, this really wouldn't be much of an issue, but we don't. It took forever, but thanks to Parthenax distracting him, we just hardly managed to win as we were running very low on health potions. Alright, we're coming up on the end of the run already. I mean, near the end of the run for you guys. For me, I have to sit around watching a peace conference for way too long. It's the most boring thing in the universe. Hey, you want to see another trick that Brandon taught me? So we've just flown to the last part of the game, and we're at that part where I normally have to run past tons of Draugr and dragons and stuff to get into the last dungeon. Thankfully, it's actually not required. Brandon showed me this area just a little left of the bridge where you start, where you can hop around on the cliff. If you get it just right, you can skip the entire final dungeon, getting you to Sovngarde. It takes you like 1 minute to do, it's super easy. Once we're in, we have to do our combat trial test with Chunk here. He almost instantly got himself stuck though, so we just hit him with a few arrows. I didn't even try to do that, he did that to himself when I backed up. It's time for the final battle with Alduin. Like always though, this is easier than the one on the mountain because we have so much backup. That said, this is the hardest Sovngarde Alduin fight I've ever had. It's not a hard fight still, but we did have to chug down health potions and the fireballs hurt a lot. We actually ran out of health potions, but it only took a few minutes before Alduin went down, winning us a surprisingly short run. That was a really fun run. The added challenge of not being able to make any bound armor provided a very unique challenge, and the bound bow spell was really fun to use. I hope you guys like that run. For next Saturday's challenge, it's back to Pokemon, with Pokemon Red with only Sandshrew. As always, I'm looking forward to your suggestions in the comments, in the challenge request section of my Discord channel, and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. If you want to see me do more challenges like this, please let me know in the comments or on Twitter. I can always use more ideas from you guys into what I should do next. Also, check out the playlist in the description if you want to watch all the challenges that I've already uploaded. Also, come to my Twitch TV streams and tell me that this video sent you. It's always cool to hear how you found the channel. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.